What's up, guys? Let 'em taters. We are traveling back in time here to about a week and a half ago in our third war of the season. So this one is against SIN6M Mysterio. I think that this war took place almost 2 weeks ago, and the last war that I uploaded against MMXIV, that was the 6th war of the season. And today, like as of an hour and a half ago, we entered attack phase on our 9th war of the season. So I don't pretend. I absolutely suck at this stuff for sure. But I do want to upload every single war video, even if it takes me weeks into Season 3 to do that. So, scouting my path here, we do have a Dormammu Boss, which is super awesome. It's a little baby Dormammu, only a 455, and that fight's not going to go well for Dormammu. Pretty easy peasy with a 565 magic. So, the other thing I want to mention, this is the second time I've recorded this war commentary. I recorded the first commentary last night, and while it was uploading on YouTube, I deleted the source video, and I emptied my trash because I'm a little OCD. I don't like having shit in my trash. And I noticed after about an hour, the upload progress had halted at about 50%, and I checked and I realized that I made a really stupid mistake. So anyway, I don't know if that'll affect my commentary here, but I kind of want to do this commentary a lot less than I did originally. So here I parry an Agent Venom, and then of course he shrugs that off, and I get parried myself. So I'm actually glad that that happened. I've got a 565 blade, and this is a 4-star Agent Venom. Certainly not terribly risky. It's just going to cost me a couple health. But as an example, that is why if you are trying to go through a war and have a quote-unquote perfect war, just be as safe as possible, I highly recommend not attacking into Agent Venom or Crossbones if you parry them. Crossbones, he'll actually have a timer that you can see if he's going to shrug that off. And so even just a little delay when fighting Crossbones is a good idea. But with Agent Venom, just don't do it unless you don't care. On True Strike, they placed a 455 Archangel, and Archangel is a very easy defender, but a very dangerous defender. So if you make a mistake against Archangel, as I have on my channel in the past, previous war videos, he can do a ton of damage, and that, especially that L1, if you screw up dodging those projectile attacks, he can definitely do some damage. So all of this damage here is block damage. It's otherwise a pretty clean fight. Against Archangel, you can take 0 block damage, but on stun immune, as you guys have seen in previous videos, I usually just bite the block damage, not really too worried about that, and just bait out a heavy. It's just a lot easier. So on the power gain node here, I have a 345 Mystic Champion, and to be honest with you, I have no clue who this is. I can't remember because this war is so long ago. I fought so many node 46s since this war took place. So let's see here. Okay, so it's a hood, pretty common placement here, and as normal, my strategy here for a defender that can be bled is just to parry, rack off those bleeds, and then that bleed will feed my power meter. And once I get to an L2, Blade is I mean, he's usually gonna tear the defender up. And here you see I start going into my combo at about 40% health when he's at 40% health, with the intention to rip off that L2. And even a 455 Mystic, as long as I've got Danger Sense, probably is not going to survive that L2. So took care of business there. Okay, now this fight, this is Unblockable L1. It's a 345 Cosmic Champ. The reason I went in with Magic is just in case it was a Hyperion. Hyperion would be kind of subversive defensive placement. you know, you certainly would not expect to see a Hyperion on an unblockable 1 node because his L1 is easy to avoid. But there's some trickery involved in defensive placement, and the attackers, of course, are going to try to predict the defenders. So if you can put a bad matchup on their path, then that's a huge deal. So wipe him out pretty easily. My buddy took out the Bane node and went into this mini boss fight with, I believe, a Luke Cage, and wasn't able to get the job done. But she's like 2 combos away from dead here. So I go with magic just to clean this up, and I'm not even that worried about the power, but I guess I'm a little bit worried, otherwise I wouldn't be baiting it out. But yeah, basically essentially about 2 combos here, but she was already pretty much done. He did most of the work. So that fight is over, and now finally a Dormammu boss fight. This is essentially my favorite thing that can happen in an alliance war. I love seeing Dormammus. I think he's really fun to fight, and once you know how to fight him, I don't want to say he's easy, but you can get into a good rhythm, cornering him, keeping him blocked, of course, with the magic. Magic is kind of imperative to fighting Dormammu, or at least making Dormammu a relatively easy match. But I'm going to go ahead and throw on some boosts here, and then I'm going to also pop this Mystic Power Boost, which is going to return a lot of the power that I use, which is critical for staying out an L2 if you're using magic. I'm also going to throw on that 8% big damage boost, just going to increase the damage output, and of course an advanced power boost. I use these advanced power boosts almost exclusively for magic fights. I guess if there was like a Morningstar boss and I needed to protect Blade from the bleed damage, then I might use one with Blade. But here, he's stun immune, of course. I'm just going to go ahead and take some black damage, get into a rhythm, and again, I just want to get to an L2. So I'm watching my power meter the entire time, taking all the damage that I need to. It doesn't matter. I'm going to rip off that L2, and every time I hit an L2, I'm pushing him back. Now, once I get him back into the corner, I can start the real work here, get him power locked, and here you see I'm just going to hit into his block, and then I do a backdraft, and 98% of the time the AI is going to kind of come out of there without any caution and attack into you because you know, because it's cornered. So you can just recycle this. You're going to do a 4-hit combo, backdraft, and keep recycling that L2. So I L2 him, 1, 2, 3, 4, backdraft, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to rip off that L2. You can always take some block damage if you don't feel comfortable going in to restart that combo, but generally speaking, 1, 2, 3, 4, backdraft. Now check this out. I'm going to hit him with the L2. I'm going to backdraft, and he doesn't attack out of that, and he parries me. So I was in a really good rhythm, and at that point, you're not really paying much attention to the to what the defender is doing. You're just hitting those 4-hit combos, backdraft, and going back in. That can happen, but I would say it's very, very rare that a defender will not attack out of the corner, and also when you're using a 455 champ of any kind, especially against a 565 champ, especially against a 455 Dormammu, you do have a lot of margin for error because his base attack is not very high, and as long as you're backdrafting him, you don't really have to worry about that degen damage. So here is the stat page. This has kind of become my favorite part of the war video process, making these. As with everything, it takes me an ungodly amount of time. I know that I am doing it in a very inefficient manner. I have to be because it takes so much time, but I really love sharing this with you guys. In this war, I only really have about 5 fights. I put that Morningstar boss on there because I did finish her off, but I really don't deserve any credit for that fight because she was basically dead. And then you can see here, other than the last few fights, I didn't, in fact, just the last fight, I used all of those boosts. So if I wasn't taking the boss, then this would have been a very inexpensive war for me, only throwing on those 2 health potions just to top off Blade. But that is the video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please like, share the video, share the infographic. It'll be on Twitter, and make a comment in the comment below the video on YouTube. Let me know what you think.